Welcome to More Than Renovating, a Renovate and Real Estate podcast. Our founder, Belinda Smith, talks to industry experts to provide you with the knowledge and information you need to make renovating for love and profit your reality. Belinda will also chat to some of her Renovation Mastery members who are just everyday people doing extraordinary things, following their passions in the renovation and property space. So, let's jump straight into the episode. Enjoy.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Belinda Smith from Renovate and Real Estate, and you're joining me here for the More Than Renovating podcast and also our YouTube channel at Renovate and Real Estate. And today with me is my very own gorgeous Reno coach, Kelly Nelson. How are you, Kelly?
Good, thank you. Hi, everybody.
So Kelly is going to, we're going to unveil Kelly's personal journey and her story in relation to renovating and property and what she's doing now. And I don't know, just everything, particularly like now the market's changed and there's a lot of rumors out there about renovating and the interest rates are higher and all that kind of stuff. So let's break it down. Kelly's in the trenches. She does this day after day with clients as well as for herself, her own projects. So let's get started. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Very nice intro.
So tell the listeners, first of all, am I allowed to ask this question? How old you are? Long?
Yeah, of course.
Where you live, and just a little bit about your previous life, where you've come from.
Yeah, so I'm 37 this week, I think, unless I've skipped a year or added a year too many. I'm from Bellingen, a little town in New South Wales, just inland of Coffs Harbour, if anyone knows that. And if you don't know where that is, it's halfway between Brisbane and Sydney. Yes. So, yeah, 6 hours drive from either. So kind of in the middle of nowhere. But at the moment, I am in Brisbane, just due to my partner's career taking us here. And his career could take us anywhere in the near future or the distant future as well. So, you know, renovating was something that I picked so I could do it anywhere.
Oh, I'm really glad you mentioned that because, we'll labour back. How did you get into renovating in the first place?
I've always loved houses. I think as a kid, I used to do floor plans and I used to rearrange my room like once a week. I remember I wasn't really allowed to, so I used to stay up late and move my furniture around, and my mum and dad would always be like, oh, there she is again, moving a room around. You know, when I got my first job, I remember saving for furniture, you know, to put in the house that I was going to buy. So property was always something that really interests me. My parents bought the house that they lived in. You know, they didn't have any investment properties or know anything other than that. But that was enough for me to realize that, you know, it's a good thing to buy a house to live in. So I knew I wanted to do something with property. So I got out of school and got a good sales job, pretty much out of year 12, and saved up for a deposit and bought my very first house, lived in it as my first property. And from there, I kind of got a bit stuck. I thought, oh, okay, that was hard work. I'm going to go traveling for a while. And, you know, I partied a little bit and knew that I wanted to do something with property, but didn't really know what. So there was a bit of a gap there from buying my first property. I did keep it as soon as I'd lived in it for a year. I put some tenants in, and that was positively geared from day one. So I was earning money off that, not much, probably like $5,000 a year. But for a few years, and I went, you know, this is good, but I could probably do better if I go, you know, source out some education and learn how to make money from property. Yeah. And that was about 5 years ago. I ended up, you know, just starting to research what it was about property that I really wanted to do.
So tell me about getting educated in property. What difference do you think it made to you? Because it made, like, it got me and my husband on our journey. Simple as that.
So combination with, like, you know, what you're doing with your normal life and what's happening around you, you know, when you start to get educated about it, you can just leverage. Same thing. Same.
Leave the leverage. Yeah.
You can just really leverage. Like, I was a travel agent at the time, and I thought, okay, I'm going to start like learning and getting myself educated and paying for education courses. And my partner and I couldn't afford we couldn't find a rental. He had left his job and moved to take up a football coaching role, which was unpaid. And I was transferring as a travel agent, but nobody would give us a property because like my travel agent wage and his wage, you know, wasn't really enough to afford something good. And everything was cheap. Like there were so many people waiting in line to get, you know, properties, and we didn't have double income at the time we were applying. So I actually ended up taking someone's lease over. So I answered an ad for somebody who was trying to break their lease. And it was more than my partner and I could afford, but it was in First Avenue in Burleigh on the beach, or just back from the beach. And I thought, okay, well, it's a 2-bed, 2-bath. Maybe we could sublet the other room out on Airbnb. And I just kind of maybe learn a little bit about that in the education I listened to. So that meant that we could afford it because I was substituting my income. And it turned out that that ended up being the reason that we saved the deposit for the next house that we bought. So it's absolutely everything. If I didn't know that, like, I don't know, maybe we would have, you know, done a share house and we would have just lived in someone else's house for a while, or, you know, we wouldn't have taken these extra steps. I then also left being a travel agent, and I went and worked in a real estate office for 6 months, just on reception, just to kind of, I knew I didn't want to sell houses and I didn't want to be a property manager, but about property. So I just kind of like sat in reception and listened and learned and saw how everything kind of took place. And yeah, just like a sponge, just absorbed it all.
Yeah, so like I did a real estate agent's course too, and I did it for that same reason, Kelly. I actually didn't want to work as a real estate agent. I just wanted to know the ins and outs and the way that they think. And I've been offered work in that place for a while in that role, but it doesn't really interest me. But I'm just a firm believer of just getting across it all, because the opportunity that you saw there by Airbnb that room, that was extra cash flow that you wouldn't have recognized, which got you on your path. We hit the ground running with our no money down deals when we could go and buy properties back in the day with no money down or next to nothing. So we just went and bought 4. So it's those things that if we hadn't have been educated, we hadn't have been in those courses, we wouldn't have known about, and we wouldn't have made our start.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's it done for you so far? Property renovating and investing.
So the real estate office, I think, was the last full-time job that I had. I used it to put myself in a position where I could go get loaned up as far as I could, leaving work.
2 thumbs up from me.
And then and since then I've worked for myself and I've been flipping properties, and I'm up to number 16. And some I own or did own and sold, and others were joint ventures where my name or might have been on the title, the JV partner's name might have been on the title, but we went into it together and did a renovation and then sold the properties and then split the profits. So it's meant that now is my full-time job, if you can call it that. You know, I joke a lot to my partner, I'm already retired, because I kind of do what I want when I want, you know. So yeah, it's meant absolutely everything.
So that's I'm glad you said that too, because if I talk about renovating, a lot of people all of a sudden in their minds say, oh my God, I'll be working nonstop. So lay it out. Okay, so in a 6-month period, what would 6 months look like for you?
Yeah, so I'll try and do 3 a year, which that's basically what it's worked out to be average.
Yeah.
So let's say at the start of the process, I'll be searching for a property. So I'll be home, you know, most days. I'll be out doing open homes. I'll be doing private inspections. I'll be talking to agents. I'll be working on feasibility studies. Yeah. Putting offers in. And then when I do find the property, I know that I've probably got a 21 to 30 day, being in Queensland, you know, 30 days is kind of like what everybody wants, but most of the time I might just want to get in there. Or I might even be able to put a clause on the property that I have access straight away, but it doesn't settle for 21 days. So I can start working, and that will be, you know, ordering things, organizing my timetable so I know who's coming in and when, letting my trades know that I'm going to need them and when it's going to be. That type of thing. And then 21 days later, I'll get into the property and I'll be on site every day. I like being there for the trades to be able to talk to. I'll probably pick a few jobs for myself to do just so I am there for them. However, my day gets interrupted so much. There's some days I might not do a whole lot of work because I am answering questions and just checking off what the trades are doing before they do the wrong thing, or if there's something that I forgot to tell them, or if they're going to put something in the wrong place. So being on site's great. If it's a JV and I've got a working party, it means coffees every day. You know, you need a little break to go, you know, have a little chat about what's going on and all that kind of stuff. If I'm on site on my own, you know, I'll work that around other things that I have going on in my life as well, and work it around being there when I know when the trade's going to be there too. So it might be a 6-day week for probably like an 8-week period.
Yep.
And when it starts to get to the end of that time, I might start thinking, or might start having a few minutes to have a look at what else is coming up for sale. So I might start looking for the next project as well. So I might start that process again for the next project. But, you know, no problems if I don't find anything, and I won't spend a whole lot of time doing that quite yet. When we're ready for staging, I usually try and hand it over. I'll definitely, you know, check my stages over and make sure I'm happy with what they've provided and ask for more where I feel like it's required. But I'll try and kind of step back and give the real estate agent the keys and let them do their thing, and just like not micromanage them, but just oversee everything that they're doing. But from the time the real estate agent kind of takes over, I step back and I start focusing on what I'm going to do next. And
So if you choose, say, one of those is a simple cosmetic renovation, how long does it take you to get in and out? And that's kind of a weird question, I know, because I've seen some of your projects, and some homes are easier, like your standard brick homes, and other homes are a little bit more dilapidated.
Yeah, I think I usually go off a 4-week time period if it's a unit and I don't have any outside to do.
Yeah.
If it's a house, then I'll usually try and aim for an 8-week turnaround.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think I've ever come in under the 8 weeks. I've come in right on the 8 weeks quite a few times. And then I've also come over the 8 weeks, which is fine because I prefer to undershoot and then end up it running over, and I'm happy to deal with that. Then give myself 6 months, and then, you know, I really only needed 4 months. So but I have done it. That's a cosmetic. And then I've done a structural where I've done a full 6 months. So
how long did it take you to get set up with what I'd consider to be your team, like some tradies that you could lean on that you know will work well for you, and the right person to do your loans?
Look, it's not a concrete team ever. Like I still won't always be doing them in the same place. So my plumber, he's not going to travel to some of my renos because of where he lives, and so I'm always getting new team and changing them in. I've definitely got my preferences that I prefer to get in. But I'm quite comfortable now going and outsourcing new people, or asking this new team member that I found, because I needed a plumber in this area that I didn't know, and he's been absolutely fantastic. And then saying, well, who have you come across in your travels as a plasterer? Because I need a plasterer now for here. So like I do have a team, yes, but they're not hard and fast, and they're not on every project because I'm Gold Coast to Cairns. So and I'm not going to pay for them to travel because that's way too expensive.
No, I agree. Okay, so is it possible to get trades in this type of market?
It definitely is. It is. It's all about, I had somebody say to me over the weekend, actually, he said, you got a good attitude. That's why I did it. And this wasn't even a tradie. I picked up a bike out of our shed that hasn't been ridden for 3 months. And I went to go for a bike ride, and I'm like, I need to get this thing serviced. Otherwise a wheel might fall off. And I rode it into a bike shop just down the road. And I said, hi, I understand that you're probably really busy and this is out of the question, but I was going to take this bike for a ride today, and I just want you to check if it's safe. And, I don't need a service, but I just want to make sure that you can tell me the wheels aren't going to fall off. And he looked at me and he goes, I never do this, but okay, I'll have a look at it. And, it's because of your attitude, and
tenacity.
I didn't expect anything from it, but I was appreciated if you could. And people fall over themselves to look after you if you go to them with that. And if they don't, then that's not the tradie that you want anyway. Like I've had trades that like I do that to them, and then they're still, oh, this is really hard, and I'm just like, okay, here's the door, bye. This is not for me.
Fair enough. See you later. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so it's it's just about being constant and tenacious, and it's definitely not as easy as it was, but it's definitely doable. So I just think there's a lot of myths right now, and it ebbs and flows. Times will change. There'll be lots of tradies soon.
Yeah, and paying really promptly. Like I'm working for a client at the moment, and I've said to him, my trades need to be paid straight away, and he's been great. And my trades have been coming back to me and saying, I sent the invoice and he paid within 5 minutes, and it was like a $14,000 invoice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's good, isn't it? He goes, yeah, that's great. And now he'll do a bit more free work. I feel like if they ask for a little bit more, he'll give it to them because the invoice was paid straight. There's no problems.
Yeah.
And no questions. So,
or if you've got to chip them is the wrong word, but if you've got to bring something to their attention that you're not really happy with, and you bring it up really kindly, and they know you're good to work with, and you pay your bills promptly, they just fix it and off they go. Like it can be easy. It is so much up to our attitudes. All right. So in a perfect world, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question, but in a perfect world, what's a dollar figure that you would love to earn from property per year?
I would love to earn 150,000 in today's money. So in 5 years' time, that might be 180 or 200, depending on that kind of stuff. But 150 would be awesome. Okay.
So just for everyone who listens out there, who's listening to this, in our coaching program, we do teach people to try and do renovations and only take on renovations that are going to earn at least $50,000 each reno. And some renovations will earn a lot more than that. So when most people are happy with 150K per year, and it's definitely doable in the renovation space. All right. So what types of projects do you go for? Is it type of house that you go for? I know you do units. We've had discussions about my love-hate relationship with renovating units.
Mate, that unit was gold. I did not expect that to do so well.
I hated it when that turned out so well for you.
I was thinking to myself, if this goes wrong, then it's going to be a good rental. I'll just keep the thing. And it sold great. So
you couldn't wait to tell me. I'm like, don't renovate units, guys. They're a pain in the backside. You could not wait to tell me that one went really well.
Yeah, no, it did.
Yeah,
but it's all about, I think, like I've got preferences. If I'm going for a house, I love weatherboards and I love character because I'm in Queensland, obviously. I love high set because the plumbing and the electrical is so easy just to come up through the floorboards and that type of thing. But really I'm like looking for just a wow factor, and it doesn't have to be, water views, but something where people are going to go, oh, this living room's extra big, like bigger than everything else that I've looked at. Or, this one's got a bigger backyard than anything else I've looked at. Or, just something that's a wow. Like if a house has got no wow and you're like, this is cheap, and you go in and you're like, I just can't find a wow. Like I'm going to have to do everything to it I would to a normal renovation, but it doesn't have a wow to help me sell it.
Yeah.
Something.
I love the way that there was one of those, one of the homes that you did, that you actually added a pool. And you did it because the demographic kind of demanded it around that area. And you did create a whole entertainment area out the back with that deck connected to the pool was beautiful.
Yeah, I've done 2 pools now, same company. So he knows me well. So I think I referred somebody to him the other day, and he did them a favor because I referred them and got it, done quickly because they're flippers as well. So that's a good contact, and it was a demographic that asked for it, and I knew that it was going to help to sell it. So
okay, you could apply the skills that you've learnt renovating properties in any location at this point.
I think so. I don't know, maybe like Middle East wouldn't work. I don't know.
I wasn't really thinking that far afield, Kelly, but let's take on Dubai and see how we go.
Dubai actually would probably work.
Let's go together.
You have to have a bit of money, I'm sure, but that's it. Like any location, but like if I was going to do Sydney, like this is no chance I've got the money to buy into a house. But maybe I could do a unit. I don't know. I haven't looked into the suburbs and what the pricing is and what the entry level is and whether I'd be happy to do that. But I think that I could do it anywhere.
Exactly. Fundamentals are the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is it that you love most about renovating?
I love results. So
money and
money.
fulfillment.
The wins, you
Yeah.
have some losses as well. And you're like, oh, I didn't do
Yeah.
that good out of that one. And then a couple
Yeah.
of months later, you go, oh, the people that bought it off me did great.
Yeah. That's the market,
But,
ebbing and flowing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the market. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to keep active and not just stop, put your money and reinvest your money. But if the market's going to move, you want to make sure that it's in there. You don't wait for it to go down. So yeah. I've bought quite a few times when people have said don't buy. Like the unit that I bought was March 19 or April 19, when everybody was talking about everything about to crash. I bought it off a couple of Irish guys that were moving back to Ireland, and they were escaping because they were like, oh, we're not going to be locked down and we're going to go back home. So yeah, don't be.
So they were very motivated to sell, and everybody else was sitting on their hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can be the best time to buy. I love Warren Buffett's, when everyone else is fearful, be greedy, and be greedy when everyone else is fearful. Did I just say the same thing twice?
No, I think that's right. Something similar. So what is it that you don't like as much? Is it the ones that aren't so perfect in the end?
No,
the problem children, I'll call them.
No, I think the ones that aren't so perfect in the end, as in they didn't sell for as much or they had a few problems, I like them for their learning experiences. I wouldn't not like them for that. If I was going to say what I don't, or what is the least enjoyable part is, I do like doing the work, but when you're hard in the trenches of the 8 weeks, 6 days a week, getting the work done, that's probably my least favorite part. There's parts of it that I enjoy, but it's a lot of it. So I can't enjoy all of it so much. So, sometimes you're finishing, you're just like, I'm just going to get the last coat on this room, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and you're going to be out when the sun comes up again to start, because you want to get it done. You don't want it to take 6 months. You want it to take 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's probably the part that I enjoy the least, but it's only for short. It's, it's just a little bit of pain for a lot of gain.
I agree. And do you hire more people than you used to, or do you bring people in to do some stuff
more
now?
and more. I did a lot of it myself. Now it's a juggling act between what I can do myself and the value that I'm going to have in doing it, or what I'll save in doing it myself, and the time that I'll save in doing it myself. If it's something that I can do and it's the weekend and it doesn't take me too long, like, just do it, get it done. But if I can bring a professional in to plaster a whole house, it'll take me, 3-4 weeks. It'll take him 2 days, and the job's going to be way better. Then it's weighing it up. That's way better to bring that person in and pay them that money, get the job done. You can focus on other things.
Do you stick to the same kind of colors and flooring and, selections?
Yeah, I mean, it will change depending on the house just a little bit.
I love that.
Yeah. Color-wise, though, I'm pretty boring. I love my white on white, because I love to take my half-used bucket of paint from the last job and take it as the first little paint to start me off on the next job. So I'm not doing any wasting or anything like that. Flooring, might change a bit too, because ultimately, if I'm doing a high set Queenslander, there's going to be beautiful polished floors that I can polish. But if I'm doing a unit, I might do a loose laid vinyl plank, or I've recently done a vinyl sheet because it was rural and it didn't require. I would have loved to polish the floorboards, but there were reasons why I didn't, and I went for a vinyl sheet, which is the cheaper, type of vinyl to put in a house that a lot of people think is like a renter's vinyl. But it's come up really nice, and most people won't be able to tell that it isn't a high-end hybrid. It just looks the same. And
all of the flooring has come such a long way. Even the tiles that imitate stone, and they've just come a long way.
People are accepting too, I think.
Especially we're in the right demographic. You don't want to overspend if you're out the back of nowhere.
Like in this market that we've just been through with this peak, I've seen people buy quite nice higher end houses with laminate bench tops, and I walk in and be a snob about it and be like, oh, who'd buy this? And it sells for crazy money. And I'm like, well, obviously not people aren't that fussed anymore. If everything else is nice, there's some things that you can do, and the quality's higher than it used to be too. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so what from next year on? Like, renovation coaching with Belinda Smith. Yay. Just to let you know, guys, if you wanted to work with Kelly, come and speak to me, and that can be organized. Inside my group, we actually have renovation coaches who do, I'll say, flip alongside. So they do guide you through every inch of your own project, including doing really thorough research when you're selecting properties and understanding what to spend, where to spend the money, exactly how to change the plan, all of those things. So expertise from Kelly and others in my group. So I'm always blessed to have Kelly.
Yep.
She turns out a good renovation, and I have a lot of happy students.
Yep. No, so moving forward, I like to stick to my 2 to 3 renos a year. I've got a few people that I coach one-on-one through renovation mastery. So they've done the basics, they've done your course, they know, where to find the information that's required. They just need that little bit more hand holding just to get them through their specific circumstances. And that's great. And I love having a small group of people that I do that with. I could never do what you do, Belinda, with so many people. It's just a lot
in my head. In my DMs.
I can handle a few people one-on-one. I think that's great, and I really enjoy seeing them get success. I really do.
So do I. It's
just as good as me getting success, but I still need to do mine, because my deals are the chunk of my living, and watching them do what they do and seeing them get the same chunk on their living, that's amazing.
It's very, very cool. Give me an example of one of the students that you've been coaching inside the program and the type of results you just mentioned.
Okay, so most of the students come to me and they haven't found a property. So I will be starting off with them from day dot, how to go out there and to search for a property. And so we work on what's going to suit them best. So, I've had a student go out and find themselves a PPR renovation project. It only took probably like within a month for us to find that property, narrow down the areas that worked best, making sure that the numbers work, doing, very strict feasibilities and comparisons within the area. And they're going to live in that house and renovate it over at least a year, maybe just a little bit longer, depending on when the next deal comes up. And doing some numbers where they're currently sitting, the comparisons of what the end product's going to be, which is still to come. They're probably, quarter to half a way through that project. The uplift is about $100,000. So, and if they wanted to, they could cut it at a year for all the tax implications and saving that sort of money. And they could take that 100, which, may be a little bit more. I don't see that area coming down, like some are cooling off at the moment. But they could take that in another few months, and that would be their year, and that would be their 100,000. So, and all whilst working full time.
Okay, so it's completely possible to do. And when you're talking about some areas coming down and some looking like they're still healthy, there's a spot that I'm looking at buying in at the moment, and we're back and forth with real estate agents. It's gone up 7.9% this year. 7.9%. So when people talk about the market flattening out, they're not talking about the whole of Sydney or the whole of Brisbane or the whole of areas. There's always it's happy hour somewhere, I always say. Just got to find those little pockets.
Quite often it's the top end. And sometimes even the bottom end, which is what I get excited about, because the bottom end, like, there's rubbish, but then there's the gems that just are really ugly that need renovating, and that is the bottom end that kind of moves down a little bit or moves slower. That I get excited about jumping on when the market's slowing, because the middle market, the renovated and the ones that people are happy to live in and they're not overly expensive. I think that the mid of the market, it continues pretty strong. There's going to be a correction at the top and the bottom, top more than the bottom, but
I'm with you. Okay, so holding on to property, is that part of your strategy long term?
Yes, it definitely is. I haven't been able to hold on to properties until 2018 was the first one I was able to hold on to. So I had to sell that PPR property that turned into an investment that I bought when I was 20. I sold that to be able to have the money to go and do chunks, so get chunk money out of deals. I wasn't able to hold, because as soon as I held a property, I wouldn't be able to borrow anymore. But now I've been able to hold a house in a rural town and a block of units as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I think that's the aim. It's, it's flipping's wonderful. It's really good to bring in those chunks of cash, but long-term wealth comes with holding property for the long term, particularly those units sound fantastic, particularly those properties with good cash flow.
Yeah, and they all needed renovating too. So I'm doubling up on strategies. It's this whole strategy in the end, yes, but it was it's a renovation project.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. Kelly, if there's one thing that you would like to say to anybody out there listening in relation to renovating or property investing and what you've learned over the years, what would that be?
Just keep going. It does get easier. And the more you practice anything like feasibilities, especially, you feel like, I can't do a feasibility, I don't know how to do it. We'll open up a blank spreadsheet and type in FISO as a title. You've started,
that's it.
Started.
Yeah.
And then, in a year's time, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, wow, I've really been able to tweak this and I understand what I'm doing now. But if you don't practice at it and you don't stick with it, you're never going to get to that point. So it is tedious, but it gets easier. And now I can, copy my last FISO I did, make a new one, and then, pump a FISO out in half an hour sometimes. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. You're a beautiful addition to my team. I love working with you, and I know everybody else does too.
Thanks for having me as a part of your team. I love it.
We have a bit of fun. We're getting together just before Christmas. That'll be a bit of fun. I'm heading up to
just making us climb a bridge.
We're going to climb a bridge and then get up to Mischief. So sounds awesome. Thanks so much, Kelly. Really appreciate your time today, guys. If you want to work with Kelly and people just like Kelly inside the renovation mastery group with Renovate and Real Estate, you know where to find me. Like and subscribe. Is that what I'm supposed to say at the end of these videos? I think it is. Like and subscribe. Thanks so much, Kelly. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Bye.